Hey. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, Brenna.
Hi.
Welcome. So good to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Clayton, Marlena. Hi. Hi, Alexia. Welcome back. Hi, Sophia. Hey, Tim. Where's Tegan? Where's Tegan? There she is. Hi. Hey, Rose. Hey, Sonia.
I'm trying to understand how this works. Okay.
Hey. Hey, Zoe. Is that you? Hi, you a friend? Cool. Hi, nice to meet you. Hey, Shayna. Hi, Olivia. Good to see you today. Hi, Kailani. Hi, Gianna. Hi, Mayati.
Yeah.
Hi, Cameron. Hi, Natalie. Hello, and Eugene. Am I yelling? Okay. Wow, we have friends from all over today. Tony's here. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Lynna, how are you?
You found us. You found us. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hi, Lisa. Okay. Hi, Helen. I know you have your video off, but just saying hi. Hi, Corbin.
Hi,
In
Lynna.
Carson City. Hi, Helen. Hi, Corbin in Carson City. All right. So I always say this every week, but we have a really ambitious menu today. And not because anything is that hard, but we're doing a meal that has a lot of different components. And it looks kind of simple when you sit down at the table, but you will know that there are a lot of different techniques and steps involved. So I'm just going to warn you now, we might be together for about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. David thinks we'll be here for 2 hours, but I really don't think so. I'm going to move us through quickly. But I'm going to have us start on time. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, does anyone out there have chicken breasts that they're going to be cooking with today? Anyone have chicken breast? Okay, Sophia does, and Kailani and Gianna. Anyone else? Who said that? Who said that? Brenna. Oh, cool. Okay. Hey, Kira.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm going to start by cutting up chicken breast. Okay. Some of you who don't have chicken breast, you don't have to worry about this step yet. But the reason I asked you to have 2 cutting boards today is those of us who are cutting tofu or those of us who are cutting chicken breast, we're going to use our cutting board for that first. I'm using both chicken thigh and chicken breast. So I already have my thigh in a bowl, my skinless and boneless chicken thigh. So if you already have chicken in your chicken, go ahead and put it in a bowl and then just hold off for a second while the tofu and the chicken breast folks, while we prep the rest of our ingredients, okay? So Michael, I assume you have tofu, right?
Yep.
Yes, good. Okay. Let's see, who else might have tofu? Talia and Miley, you guys have tofu too? Cool. Okay, let's process our tofu first, because the tofu will go on this cutting board while it's still clean, and then any of us who have chicken breast will use the cutting board to cut up chicken breast too. So if you have tofu and it's in a package like mine, I'm just gonna slit it open. Just gonna cut the edge off and just drain out the water. Okay, so those of you who have tofu, hey Ella. Talia, do you have tofu today?
Talia.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so go ahead and open your tofu and drain it. So what I do is I just cut the edge off, and then I drain the water out, and then put your block of tofu on your cutting board, and I'll show you how you're gonna cut it. Hey McKenna. Hey Gracie. Hi David.
Hi, Lynna.
Hi. All right. So let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna drain my tofu. I'll show you how I'm cutting mine here. I'll do it very very carefully. I'm just gonna cut this open. If you don't have tofu, you're gonna skip this step, so don't worry. This is just for those of us who are making tofu today. No, not yet. Okay, we'll do that in a second. All right, so those of us who have tofu, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna cut it. Is it on cutting board? Okay, so I'm just standing it up right now on its end, up and down vertically. I'm gonna make a cut down the middle like this, just like that. So it's 2 halves. They don't have to be perfectly even, but however you can do it. And then I'm just gonna stack them on top of each other again and cut it in half again. So I have 4 pieces out of this tofu. That's it. So put it in your bowl, you're done. If you're doing tofu, this is all you have to do to cut it. You're done. You're gonna roast it just like this. So I'm gonna add this to my, I'm gonna set it off to the side here. Okay. For anyone who has, actually before we go on to chicken breast, those of you, go ahead and start your water boiling on the stove. Okay, so can you turn your water on and turn your oven on to 425? So let's all do that together. So we're gonna be blanching some vegetables today. We're gonna be blanching spinach and bean sprouts, if you have it. Because we're gonna make 2 side dishes. We're gonna make 2 vegetable side dishes, kind of similar to banchan. It's like a Korean side dish. Michael, you probably can say it better than me. But we're gonna make 2 we're making a spinach banchan and a bean sprout banchan. So boil your, hey Sharon.
Hey.
Hi Edie.
Hey there.
So turn your water on to boil. If you want to know what size pot I'm using this size pot. It's pretty big because I want to put in all my spinach.
Okay.
So go ahead and put your water on to boil and turn your oven on to 425.
Okay, so turn the oven on to 425. Hi guys.
All right. Cool.
Okay,
So,
turn it down to 425.
anyone else have any questions? I know I just kind of dived in, but we have a lot to get through, so I'm just gonna get us moving quickly. So tofu is cut. Any questions about tofu? Cool. Okay, so let's move on to chicken breast. So I have my package of chicken breast here. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna cut my chicken breast. Have any questions? Okay. So I'm gonna put my chicken breast on the counter, on the cutting board, sorry. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna butterfly it. Rather than make you pound this chicken breast and it's kind of messy.
Horace, come over here, look.
I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna butterfly this and cut it in half. You need a very sharp knife if you're cutting with this chicken breast.
Oscar, watch your kids.
Can you mute? Okay, so cool. All right, so I have my chicken breast here on the cutting board, and I'm gonna take my knife. I'm right-handed, so I have my knife in my right hand. I have my left hand resting on my chicken breast just to kind of hold it steady. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it in the middle, like I'm gonna cut kind of a seam. I'm just gonna cut it in half this way, horizontally. Be very careful that you don't cut your hand in the process. And what I want 2 flat pieces of chicken breast. Mine is not perfect, but it's totally fine. Because look, all I want is 2 flat pieces of chicken breast. Okay? So if you wanna try that, all right, I'm gonna do it with my second half. Hello, Amy 老师. 你好. Hi, Amy 老师. Okay, so we have my second chicken breast here. I have my right hand on my knife because I'm right-handed. I have my left hand resting on my chicken breast to hold it in place. I'm just cutting it just making a cut through the middle. Be very careful. This is when it's really handy to have a sharp knife. I'm just cutting 2 halves. Rather than make us pound our chicken breast, which we might do in a future episode, we're just gonna cut them into these 2 flat halves. Does anyone want to show me what they've done or any questions? Brenna, how are you doing with your chicken breast? Boris, did you cut yours? Oh, Edie, did you cut yours in half? Yeah, cool. Okay. How are you doing, Brenna? And just put your cut
doing
chicken. Okay, good. Put your cut chicken into your bowl that you're gonna marinate. We're gonna make our marinade in a bowl. So we'll just make it right into the bowl. So for those of you who have handled your chicken, let's go wash our hands. I'm taking this cutting board away. We're not gonna use this cutting board anymore. I'm gonna take this to the sink and I'm gonna go wash my hands while I'm at it, okay? Some of you haven't done anything yet, and that's fine. Washing my hands, washing my knife. You're gonna use the same knife. Remember, we've talked about how when you touch raw chicken, you basically have contaminated your hands. You don't want to touch anything else until you've had a chance to wash it. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? Yes, I see a question. Oh, Alyssa, yes, my kitchen is very neat and clean on Sundays at 4:59 p.m.
What do I do for chicken thighs?
So chicken thighs, you just leave it in your bowl. We're gonna take your bowl of chicken thigh right now, or chicken breast, and we're going to make our marinade right into this bowl. Okay? But we're gonna use our cutting board first because there's some ingredients we're gonna chop.
We're just doing it, because it's going to be more.
Okay?
Hey, Lynna, how
So-
many chicken breasts should we be cutting?
Are you using any other protein, any thigh or tofu?
No, just chicken.
So for your family of 4 or 5, I would say 2, maybe 3 halves, 3 chicken breast halves would be good.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just cut it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, cut each breast in half so they're flat.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, so let's use our cutting board now. Grab your knife, use our cutting board. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some onion to your bowl of chicken. We're gonna start layering ingredients into your bowl, into your protein. I'll stop calling it chicken because some of us have tofu, but I'm gonna start layering ingredients into our bowl of protein. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut up an onion, and I'm just gonna slice it. So I'll show you how I'm slicing mine. I have my onion here, and as I always do, there's a root end and a stem end. We're gonna cut both ends off, just like that, and throw it into your garbage bowl. And then we're gonna peel the onion. I'm just peeling this onion. This onion has a really thin skin, so it's gonna take me a little while to peel. Okay, so go ahead and peel your onions. And we're just gonna chop this up after. I'll show you how I'm gonna chop it. And we'll add it to that marinade. It'll make it taste good. And when you roast it in the oven, it'll get nice and brown, and it'll just be a nice additional crunch. All right. Any questions? So I kind of jumped in without really telling you guys what we're doing today. We're making a variation on a Korean style rice bowl dish. It's called Bibimbap. And a lot of times when you go to Korean restaurants, they serve it in this stone hot, really super screaming hot stone bowl, and it makes the rice crunchy. We don't have the ability to do that at home, but what we can do is just make the other ingredients instead. And that will still be really good and delicious and comforting. And will be really colorful. But like I said, there's a lot of steps and ingredients, so that's why we're gonna do it. But I'm showing you exactly how I would cook it at my house.
Are they going in with the chicken?
Yes, it goes in with the chicken.
Okay.
I'll show you quickly how I'm gonna chop it as soon as I'm done peeling. This onion had really thin skin, so finally finished peeling my onion. Okay, I'm gonna lay it on my cutting board flat. Okay, and I'm gonna cut it in half. I'm standing it up so it's kind of standing on its own. It's easier to cut this way when it's sitting on one of the flat ends. I'm gonna cut it in half, and then I'm gonna lay each half down on the flat side again. So it's, again, easier to cut. And then I'm just gonna make some really, I'm just gonna cut it kind of thinly, but not super thin. So each slice is maybe like this. You can see the thickness of it. I'm gonna stand them up so you can see. Just like that. So maybe it's like 10 or 12 cuts. And go ahead and just throw this into your onions. Oh, sorry, into your chicken bowl. Okay, go ahead and just throw it in with your chicken. I'm just adding it in. And do the same with the other half. This is adding flavor, and when you roast it, it'll taste really good too. And in case you haven't done it yet, please be sure that your pot of water is boiling. Your big pot of water is boiling, and your oven is on and preheating to 425. We don't need the oven quite yet, but we will soon. So our ovens will be hot at the same time. So I'm adding the rest of my onions to my protein. If you have tofu, your onions will go in there. If you have chicken breast or chicken thigh, your onion will go in there too. All right, so here's my bowl of lots of protein. And actually I had a quarter of an onion left over from earlier today. I'm just gonna throw that in too.
Lynna?
Yeah.
How much chicken do you have in your bowl?
Oh gosh, I have a lot. I used like almost, I think I asked people to have about 2.5 pounds to serve about 6 people.
Okay.
I probably have about 3 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Lynna,
So
sorry, because we were coming in a little late. How much water should we be boiling?
Oh, I have my pot of water boiling. It's like how much water I would put in for, say, a pasta, as if you were boiling pasta. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty deep, because we're gonna shove in a lot of spinach.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. So everyone done with
Lynna.
their? Yeah.
You don't have to do anything for the thighs, right?
What?
You don't have
No,
to do anything with the thighs?
No, we're doing it right now, Mayadi. You don't have to cut it or anything. The chicken thighs are already the right size that we need.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go on to our next ingredient for our marinade. We're gonna grate some garlic. But here's the catch. I forgot to ask you to get a small bowl. Can you go grab a small bowl? Because we're gonna grate a lot of garlic right now at the same time. We're gonna be efficient and do all of our garlic at once. We're gonna process all of our green onion at once, but I'm not gonna have you use it all for the marinade. We're gonna set some aside. So grab a small ramekin or a small bowl. I'm just gonna grab something like this. And this will be extra for the extra garlic you're not gonna use for your marinade. We're gonna grate or mince about 8 cloves of garlic. All right, so the way we process garlic is I have my bulb here. I'm just gonna peel off, I'm gonna break off 8 cloves. It's quite a bit of it. And I'm gonna peel it, and I'm gonna break each clove off. It makes it easier to peel. And then we're gonna smash them so it makes it even easier to peel. So I have, let's see, how many cloves of garlic here? I have like 5, 6, get 2 more. This dish is super garlicky, but the good thing about quarantine is that we're all walking around wearing masks, so nobody has to worry about garlic breath, except with your family. And all of you will have the same garlic breath anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, and we're not going to really meet people face to face anymore. So I've been eating more garlic than ever, and it's so good for you. All right, so I have my cloves of garlic right here. I have 8 cloves. If your cloves are bigger, maybe you can use 6 if you want. If you don't mind a lot of garlic, feel free to use a lot. If you have little cloves, then feel free to use 10. But I'm gonna smash each one so it's easier to peel. Okay, so go ahead and smash each one. And we're gonna be peeling garlic for the next, peeling and chopping garlic for the next 5 minutes or so. So one thing that I was thinking about us cooking together is, might be handy sometime for us to talk about some essential kitchen tools to have. I don't think you need a ton, but there's certain tools that I use over and over again. And I find myself, you know, often wanting to say like, oh, take out your microplane. Have you guys noticed, so those of you who've been cooking with me for a while, you probably noticed I use a microplane quite a bit. I find it's like a really handy tool. Okay, so let's chop our garlic. My water is almost ready to boil. I don't know if you have your water boiling yet, but go ahead and check it. If your water is coming to a boil, you can turn the heat down low. I'm turning my heat down to low. If your water is still coming to a boil, don't worry about it. Okay. So let's all peel our garlic. You know, you can also buy pre-peeled garlic, but I assumed not everybody has that, so that's why we're gonna peel our garlic together today. How's everyone doing? Still peeling garlic. Okay. And once your garlic is peeled, you can cut the ends off. You know, I always talk about how I don't like that hard end, so I always cut that piece off. I trim it off. Just because it's hard and it's not as fun to eat. And then what I do is I cut that brown part off, and then we're gonna mince it. And then remember, we're only gonna use some of it for our marinade, for our protein. The other part we're gonna reserve for our side dishes later, for our vegetable. If you have any questions, remember you can raise your hand. I have McClara, my executive producer here. She's monitoring raised hands, or people who might have a question. You can kind of wave in front of the camera, and because if your hands are dirty or if your hands are full, you can't really touch your computer, but you can kind of start talking to the camera.
Next to do, or just cut the little.
How much garlic should we put in the meat?
I'm gonna put in 4 cloves.
Wait,
But I'm gonna have you just mince all of your garlic at once, and we'll kind of eyeball how much garlic we're gonna use.
You have to mince.
Yeah, don't put the whole clove in there.
Yeah, we're gonna mince the garlic. So I'm gonna cut the brown ends off. Okay, and don't worry if you're, you know, I'll be here. I'm not in any rush. I'm gonna move us through, but I will be here until you're done with your dish. So if anyone feels like they're behind, don't worry. I will not abandon you. I will be here. I will walk you through your dish for as long as it takes. Okay. Let's see. I've cut almost all the ends of my garlic off. For those of you who are ready to mince, go ahead and mince. Or if you have a microplane, you can grate your garlic too.
Do we do this for the tofu too?
Yes, this is for the tofu too. And chicken thigh and chicken breast. So, but let's just all make a big pile of garlic on your cutting board first, okay? Before we put anything in to your chicken, I just wanna show you, because we're gonna be reserving some of this garlic for your salad, for your banchan later. Okay, so go ahead and start mincing. We'll process all of our garlic together. So I'm gonna start mincing some. You can also, again, use your microplane like that if it's easier. Just be careful to not get your thumb or your fingers grated in there. Like this, you can grate it or you can mince it. I'll do both.
I don't want to grate it because I don't. The onions.
Okay. What about the onions?
Oh.
So the onions are in your protein bowl. So you can put your onions into your protein because we're gonna marinate onions along with your protein.
The onions are killing my eyes.
I know, aren't they? Who said that?
Brenna.
Yeah, I know, Brenna. That happens to me too. You wanna, if your onions are near you, you can set your bowl aside.
Yeah, I set the bowl over there.
Good idea.
Ow.
It is so fun to be with all of you because I know all of you from so many different places. We have friends joining us from Texas today. Amy Losh is here. And we have friends from Oregon. We have family from Southern California. We have Ella and Cerritos. And who else do we have? Friends on the peninsula, friends in San Francisco, and Castro Valley. All right. Oakland, of course. Oakland, Berkeley, down the street from me. Orinda, I see you, Shmoo. And we have San Mateo. All right. So I'm just mincing my garlic. Mince, mince. Mince it pretty fine if you can. That's why sometimes having a garlic press or a microplane is really nice because the garlic press does it really quickly for you. David took out a garlic press for me to show you, but this is what a garlic press looks like. You throw the clove into this thing and it, it presses it down. But we're just gonna use the old-fashioned way. Yeah, if you have a garlic press, feel free to use it because that's pretty much how as minced as possible for your banchan would be really nice for your vegetable dishes later. Oh, and then we're gonna fry an egg together. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. So I'm just mincing my garlic.
I found it.
All right.
I found my garlic press.
Cool. So go ahead and mince all, you can press all your garlic, all 8 cloves or however many cloves you have onto your cutting board. So this is what my garlic is looking like. And remember, the way I'm chopping, the way I'm mincing, I'm not like chopping up and down like this. I'm keeping the tip of my blade on the cutting board, and I'm just kind of rolling just gently setting the blade down. I'm keeping my other hand out of the way. And then every so often, I wipe my knife. I wipe the blade off because there's some garlic that clings to the side. I just wipe it, and then I just keep going. Okay, so just make sure you don't have huge chunks of garlic left. You want to mince it as fine as you can. And then I'm going to put roughly, let's see, I'm going to put about half of this garlic into my bowl of protein, okay? So I have my pile here. I have my pile of garlic. I kind of scraped it up into the middle. I'm just gonna kind of cut it in half here. I have 2 piles of garlic. I'm putting half of this into my protein, into my bowl of protein, whether it's tofu or chicken or rice. I'm sorry, chicken, tofu, chicken breast or chicken thigh. I said rice because I'm gonna teach you how to make rice next. And then the other half of your garlic, put it into your small bowl. We're gonna set it aside because we'll use it later. Okay. If your water is boiling on your stove, you can go ahead and turn it off because we're not gonna use it quite yet. But I just want it to be ready for when we are ready to use it. Okay, everyone got your garlic into your protein bowl, half of your garlic, and the other half in a small bowl setting off to the side. How are you doing, Rosa and Sonia? You guys done? I can't hear you. You done? Okay, good. Thumbs up is good. Hey, Griffin. I see you still chopping. How you doing, Shmoo? You still working? Okay. For those of you who are waiting for your next step, Clayton, how are you doing? You done? Okay, good. So, Miley, I assume Miley's not. Miley, are you done chopping your garlic? Okay.
Yeah.
I see some of you kind of hanging out. That's good. So the next thing we're going to cut is our ginger, and this goes into the marinade. This is the ginger I'm using for the marinade. I'm going to take my paring knife, and I'll repeat this again. If you're still chopping garlic, it's fine. If you have a big piece of ginger, like yours, Zoe, go ahead and just break off a piece of it. Break off like a chunk of it that's like about 2 inches. Yeah, that's a good piece right there. Yeah, good. And go ahead and take a paring knife and peel it. Peel it into your garbage bowl. This is going to your marinade. We won't need to set this aside. This is just for your marinade. And like we've talked about before, ginger has a lot of really great healing and medicinal properties. A lot of times if you have a stomach ache, it can really soothe your stomach. Or if you feel nauseous, a lot of people like to eat ginger. Yeah. Okay. So with this ginger, you can again do one of two things. You can grate it. If you have a microplane, you can grate it onto your cutting board, or you can mince it. Depending on how small you mince it, you can, I'm mincing mine. I have a microplane, so I'm kind of grating it really tiny. But if you're not a huge fan of ginger, the other thing you can do is you can just slice it into big chunks, like just slice it like this. You see, like coins, and kind of smash it a little bit, and then just throw it into your marinade. If you want kind of milder ginger flavor, you can cut your ginger into these coin sizes and flatten it and just throw it into your protein bowl. Okay, so I'm gonna do both just so I can show you that. So if you're not a huge fan of ginger, but you want a little bit of ginger flavor, or you have family members who do like ginger, you can just cut it into these coin shapes and smash it, and then add it to your protein bowl. If you like ginger, you can grate it and then, or mince it really fine and add it to your marinade. And then later when you're roasting it, you can just remember to not eat those big chunks of ginger, but it'll still have flavored your marinade. Any questions? Everyone's working away, cool. All right. So go ahead and keep working. Okay. Finally, the last thing we're gonna do, let's see, let's do our green onion in a little bit. We'll chop our green onion shortly, but let's start making them, we'll start building the marinade for our protein. So start wrapping up your ginger and your garlic cutting. And if you're ready for making the marinade, give me a thumbs up. Okay, cool, awesome. Brenna, thumbs up, cool. Michael's done. Olivia, you almost there? Ella, almost there? Not quite? Okay. I'll repeat these instructions too. Okay, most people are done. I see Griffin grading, that's good. Beautiful. Edie, you almost done? Okay. All right. Is that Kate or is that Lucy? Is that Lucy in the background there with the twins? Hi. Okay. Hey, Corbin, are you still grading? Okay. I'm going to slowly move on to our marinade, but I will repeat these instructions, okay? I will slowly talk. So we're gonna start building our marinade. You can pour all these ingredients straight into your bowl. And we're gonna start with soy sauce or tamari. Tamari is soy sauce, but it has no gluten in it. A lot of traditional, like not traditional, but a lot of the kind of commercial soy sauce actually contains a lot of wheat. And it's not all soy sauce. It's actually a lot of wheat that they've used.
Wait, Lena,
Mm-hmm.
do we put the ginger in the bowl?
Yes, you put the ginger into your protein bowl. Yep.
Yes.
What do you have, Edie? Is that tamari or is that coconut aminos?
It's tamari.
Tamari, cool. Okay. So go ahead and take.
Should we mix up the stuff inside the marination bowl right now?
Yes. Yeah, you're gonna put it into your, just straight into your chicken. Okay, we're gonna put it straight into our chicken. So you can pour all the next few ingredients right into your chicken or your protein. Sorry, your protein that has the onions, the ginger, the garlic already in it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna start with your soy sauce or tamari, and we're going to add in 6 tablespoons. So I have my tablespoon, and I have my soy sauce, and I'm just gonna add in 6 tablespoons, and just kind of put it all into your bowl. Same with your tofu too, if you're using tofu. Whatever protein you're using, 6 tablespoons. Just pour it all over. Okay. All right. McKenna, are you back? Where's McKenna? Oh, she came back. Okay, good.
Lena, should we put our tofu into the marinade?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're doing tofu and chicken, you can, if your bowl is big enough, you can definitely put it into the same bowl. If you're vegetarian, if the tofu eaters don't mind having it intermingle with your protein. Shmoo, the chicken, if you have chicken thigh, it does not need to be sliced. It just can go in whole. But if you have chicken breast, I kind of walked us earlier through how you butterfly your chicken breast. You cut it into 2 thin pieces. Do you have thigh or breast, Anna? Okay, 6 tablespoons of soy sauce, Shayna. 6 tablespoons of soy sauce.
This is a lot of soy sauce.
Well, it depends on how much chicken you have. How much do you? I called for about 2.5 pounds of chicken. How much do you have, Brenna? Can I see?
I just
Full breast.
yeah.
Oh, who asked? What? 2 whole breasts? Oh yeah, 6 tablespoons is fine. Whatever you don't use, you'll be taking the marinade out of it and putting it onto the oven. So yeah. Okay. Was somebody else asking me about how much chicken breast they have or chicken? You got it, Shayna? It's a big, that's a big thing of soy sauce. Yeah, go ahead and put in 6 tablespoons of soy sauce into your protein. Okay. And for those of you who are ready for the next ingredient, we're gonna put in, let's put in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar or coconut sugar, 6 tablespoons of soy sauce, and we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So I'm super lazy. I hate having to wash more than I need to. I'm not gonna use my tablespoon mixed bowl spoon to measure the brown sugar. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball what I think 2 tablespoons of brown sugar looks like. Okay, and the brown sugar will be nice. It'll caramelize your chicken in the oven and it'll make it taste kind of sweet, which is good. I have honey as an ingredient too. You can also add honey if you'd like. You can add it in addition to the brown sugar, or you can add it instead of brown sugar. So brown sugar or honey or honey. If you like your chicken kind of sweeter, you can add in some honey. I'm using some honey from our neighbors, Rosa and Sonia up the street. And
How much honey should we put in?
if you like yours kind of sweet, I would put in maybe like 1 or 2 tablespoons.
1 or
It's
2
plus-
tablespoons of honey.
Yeah,
You could do either honey in addition to the
you can do, yes, exactly, Kira. You can do either or brown sugar. You can do both.
Lena.
Mhm.
2 tablespoons of brown sugar, right?
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So I'm going to move on to our next ingredient. Anyone need me to repeat anything, just let me know or let Clara know.
Ew.
So 2 tables. Yeah.
Stop.
We just want to make sure you ask.
Are we supposed to be cooking the rice right now?
Not yet. I'm going to show you how to do that. Like I said, we're gonna be together for quite some time.
Should we mix the marinade so that like everything's not like in one place so that it's like all over?
Yes, but we have other ingredients we're gonna add too. So before you mix it, you can mix it now if you want, but I'm just gonna pile on some other ingredients, and then we'll mix it all together.
Okay.
Okay, good question. All right, so we have our soy sauce in. We have 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. We have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and optional 2 tablespoons of honey if you'd like. Let's add in next rice wine. For those of you who have rice wine, this is it's like a cooking wine. It's wine made out of rice. If you don't have rice wine, you can, in a pinch, you can use white wine. Yes, we have the same one, Mayadi. Cool.
I have the same one too.
Awesome. Oh yeah, we totally do. So go ahead and put in 2 tablespoons of this rice wine into your mixture.
Excuse me? Are we supposed to be using rice wine or rice wine vinegar?
So you will use a little bit of rice wine vinegar in addition to rice wine.
All right.
Can we use mirin if we don't have rice wine?
Yes. Mirin is rice wine. Yes, I'm using mirin as also.
How much do we add?
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons of mirin?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Look at you guys cooking with mirin. I don't know any other kids that know how to cook with mirin. It's impressive. Okay.
It's because of you, Lynna.
I can hear Bernadette's laugh. Oh.
I don't cook a lot. I usually bake, but cooking is too.
Yeah. Cooking, I'm the opposite, Brenna. I'm not a very good baker because I'm not great at measuring sometimes.
Hey, Lynna.
Yeah. Hey.
Can we use sherry?
Yeah, you can use sherry if that's all you have. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So you've added your rice wine, hopefully. Where's Corbin? Corbin, are you?
I added my rice wine.
You did already? Okay, good. Corbin, you're good? Okay. Soy sauce, brown sugar or honey, rice wine. Let's do our sesame oil next. Also, 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil or just sesame oil. I'm just gonna eyeball mine.
I'm just using sesame oil. Wait,
Cool.
how much?
2 tablespoons.
Seems like most of it.
It smells good.
Doesn't it smell so good? I use it in I even use it in my salads. It smells nutty.
Yeah,
All right.
I smelled something nutty earlier. I was like, what is that? And now I know what it is.
Okay, so we have your sesame oil in. You can let Grayson in. And then the next thing we're going to add is rice wine vinegar or lemon juice. I happen to have these 2 lemons that Clara used yesterday to make her lemon curd that she didn't use. So I'm just going to use up these lemons, about 2 tablespoons. You can use rice wine vinegar too. But I promise you, if you've been buying ingredients for some of these dishes that we've been cooking, I'll make sure we use them every week. Ooh. So I'm just using some lemon juice because I happen to have it, but you can use rice wine vinegar. Just 2 tablespoons.
Rice wine vinegar too, but lemon works.
Yeah, whatever you have, that's handy.
I just want to use lemon because I like it.
Yeah, lemon's good. So I'm gonna rinse my hands really quick.
Lena.
Yeah.
rice vinegar is the same thing as, is rice vinegar the same thing as rice wine vinegar?
No. Yes. Good question. Hi, Grayson. Hi, little sweetie guy. Grayson. Hi. Hi, Grayson. Okay. So the last ingredient is optional.
Put a minute for this.
Okay.
It smells
The
good.
last ingredient is optional. This is gochujang. This is a Korean chili sauce. It has a red pepper powder in it. It has a little bit of rice wine and sugar, garlic, vinegar. And mine comes in a squeeze bottle, but you could sometimes you can scoop it out too. Yeah, I see yours, Sophia and Isabella. So yeah, that's good, Talia and McKenna. So if you like yours chicken a little spicy, go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of the gochujang. Smell it first. It's kind of funky. You don't like spicy stuff? Yeah, then leave it out. Yeah,
Lynna.
like that, Mayari.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Is that gochujang?
I think
can't-
so.
We think
You
so.
think- it'll be great. Yes. Just go with it. That's Tony has it. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it
so
looks
paste
like.
is okay?
The
Yeah,
marinade
paste is okay.
smells so good.
Yeah, it's from the sesame oil, huh? And the garlic and all that ginger. Okay, so if you want yours a little spicy, go ahead and put in 2 tablespoons. I'm just gonna put in 1 because Dee Dee doesn't like it super spicy. And now we're ready to mix, everybody. You can use your hands. You can use your big spoon or 2 spoons. I'm gonna take my rings off because I'm gonna use my hands. And just get all that marinade mixture all into that tofu or that chicken. If you have tofu, remember to be very gentle. You don't want to break your tofu apart, but I'm going to use my hands. It's going to be really fun. Tegan, I want to see you using your hands to touch this chicken. Okay, so I'm just going to massage all that marinade stuff into the chicken. So you could have also done this earlier. You can let it sit, for a couple hours in this marinade. We're going to let it sit for a few minutes.
Your finger,
Not-
your
If
hands are
anyone's
the
gonna
best
use their hands,
mixers.
I'm going to.
I'm using my hands. Okay, I'm using my hands. Just getting all that marinade in there.
It's so weird.
Feels super weird, huh? But it smells so good. Oh my gosh, do you smell that, all that garlic and that onion and sesame oil?
Yeah,
What
it
you're
smells
smelling
like
is that
sesame oil on the chicken, and it smells delicious.
right? Yeah. Oh, you guys are gonna kill me. I forgot an ingredient. Clara's like, oh my God. It's not too late. After you wash your hands, there's some sesame seeds. We forgot the sesame seeds. So if you have a parent or another person near you who has clean hands, hey, Bernadette from San
wash my
Francisco,
hands.
hey, go ahead and add 2 tablespoon or 2 of sesame seeds. Just sprinkle it on in. So if you have somebody handy who has clean hands, ask them to sprinkle it in for you. Otherwise, you just have to wash your hands before you can touch that sesame seed jar, like I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wash my hands. Yeah, wash your hands and add the sesame seed in.
Yeah, ask how much. Where's that?
About a tablespoon.
How
About
much?
a tablespoon. Yeah.
Are black sesame seeds okay?
Yeah, they're okay. You can use that. I'm
Okay,
using
thank you.
yeah, I'm just using non-black white ones. Okay. There.
I'm using white sesame seeds too.
Cool.
These ones.
I put in about a tablespoon or 2. Okay. So let's let this chicken hang out. Let's just set it aside. Okay? Set your chicken aside and just let it sit there. We're gonna just let it marinate for a little bit. This is my quick weeknight dinner marinade while I do other things.
Quick?
Well, not that quick, I guess. It's not as quick when you're cooking with 20-something other people. But when I'm by myself,
It
it's quick.
smells delicious.
It does, doesn't it? Okay, so we're gonna make our rice next, everybody. I'm gonna teach you how to make rice in a way where you don't have to measure. Okay, so my first question is, who has a rice cooker? Who is going to be cooking the rice in a rice cooker?
I'll do the rice.
Many of you. Who does not have a rice cooker?
Me.
Okay, Brenna, what do you? Can I see what you're cooking your rice in? Are you cooking it in a pot?
Pick up the pot. Leave that there. Leave.
You're cooking it. Okay, you're cooking on the pot. Cool. Okay. Anyone else have a rice cook? Tony has a pot. Oh, you have a rice cook? No, that's a pot. Okay, you're cooking on the stove. Cool. All right.
When are we supposed to use the green onions?
The green onions will come later.
Okay.
We'll cook
Okay,
them
guys.
in a little bit.
Why?
All right. So I'm not gonna measure. My husband David thinks I'm weird for doing this, but I just cook my rice. David,
That's
yes.
David we know.
I'm gonna move aside my cutting board for now because we don't need it right this minute. We'll use it later. Okay. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna cook my rice. So if you have a measuring cup, you can use it to measure the rice part. No, Natalie, you don't need to cut the green onions yet. We'll do that later. So I'm gonna put in enough rice for my family. I estimated about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of rice per person. So if you wanna use a measuring cup to measure out some rice, you can. I'm just gonna eyeball and pour in about how much my family will eat tonight, maybe tomorrow. It's okay if you have leftover rice, because you can use it for fried rice or you can have leftovers with it tomorrow. So I have my rice in my bowl, or you can use your pot. And the thing to do with rice is you want to rinse it. You want to rinse your rice until the water is not quite as cloudy. It doesn't have to be totally clear, but it should be rinsed enough so that you can rinse off some of the dust and particles and extra starch. So go ahead and bring your rice to the sink and rinse your rice. No green onion yet. The green onion will come later.
Doesn't the rice need to be like strained so the water doesn't stay in there?
Well, what I do is I pour the water out, but I'm very careful to not let the rice fall out.
Oh.
It's okay if some of the rice falls out a little bit. It's fine. You're gonna lose some rice. It's okay, but just be very careful when you pour it out. You're gonna leave some of the water in there because you don't want the rice to all pour out.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So rinse your rice, and as you rinse your rice, kind of move your fingers to it. It feels kind of good. Move your fingers to it to kind of rinse the rice. So I'm gonna do that now.
Hey, Lynna,
Yeah.
we're cooking this in a rice cooker.
I'm cooking my rice in a rice cooker, but you can use your pot.
Because these two look really good together. I don't know what. Thank you.
So I have my water in here, and I'm just kind of running my fingers through it. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to pour out this water now, but I'm going to leave some of the rice, and I'm going to leave some of the water in there so that all my rice doesn't pour out. You can see here I have some rice. I have my rice kind of hanging out, and then I'm going to refill it. I'm going to rinse it again. I'm filling it with some water again. I'm rinsing my rice. This is a really good skill to have, and it takes practice. If your rice doesn't turn out right the first time, it's okay, because you'll learn next time. You'll perfect it each time you do it. So again, I'm just using my fingers and running my hands through the rice to wash it, and I'm pouring it out. I'm just doing it in the pot that I'm cooking my rice in. I'm gonna fill it again. You can see the water that comes out is pretty cloudy, right? And it's still pretty cloudy. Okay. I'm gonna rinse it. This is, I think, my 4th time rinsing it. And I'm just gonna stop after this because I need to get that rice on so we can get the rest of our ingredients done. Okay, so now I have my rice rinsed. I have some water still in the pot. That's okay. We're gonna fill your rice, fill your rice bowl, whether it's your bowl or your pot, with enough water to completely cover the rice.
Okay.
And a little bit more. and I'll show you how much water to add. I'm resting my fingertips on top of the rice like this. I kind of flatten the surface of the rice under the water, and I'm using my hands to kind of place, I'm spreading my fingers over the rice on top, gently resting my hands on top, and letting the water run to making sure there's enough water to come to my second knuckle. To this knuckle here, you see that? This knuckle, I want there to be enough water in there to come up to that knuckle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have too much water, dump out a little bit of water. If you need a little more water, go ahead and add some more. I'm gonna add just a pinch more water. And I have my fingertips lightly resting on top of the flat surface of the rice. What? Yeah, cool. This is like a grandma way or a mom way. I did not learn from my mom though, actually. I don't know who I think I learned it from Ming Tsai from watching PBS growing up. But this is my way of kind of making sure I have enough water. If your water is running all the way up to your third knuckle, that's to the back of your hand, that's too much. You just want to lightly rest your fingers on top of the rice.
The water's so murky, I can't see the rice anymore.
That's okay, as long as you can feel the rice.
Okay.
As long as you can feel the rice. You see that does it come up to your second knuckle, Brenna?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So those of you who have a rice cooker, go ahead and put the lid on and put it into your rice cooker and press cook. Don't forget to push that button down. Those of you who are cooking it on the stove, put a lid on it and turn your stove up to like, how you would normally cook rice in the pot. So up to like medium. So it comes to a boil. Okay. So I'm taking my rice to my rice cooker. And I'm gonna find the lid wherever it went. Here's my lid. And put my lid on. And I'm just gonna forget about it. For those of you who are cooking it on the stove, we will not forget about it. We will check it every so often, Tony. So yeah, make sure you have the lid on and then have it up to like medium. Okay. Miley, do you have rice on already? Okay. Okay, guys. So the next thing we're gonna do now is we're gonna start working with our vegetables. We have our pot of water boiling. I know some of you have been boiling for a long time. Grab your bean sprouts first. If you're doing bean sprouts, grab your bean sprouts first. Okay. I'm also, while I'm waiting, I'm just gonna kind of stir my proteins around. Okay, everyone ready to process their bean sprouts?
My stove's being weird since my stove is really old, so it's being weird since the oven is on. So I had to turn off.
You had to turn off what?
I had to turn off the oven so that I could cook the rice.
Oh, okay.
It was really weird.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see. So we made our rice.
Wait, we put the bean sprouts in here?
So we're gonna put the bean sprouts into your pot of water. So my bean sprouts are in here because they were draining after I washed them. What I'm doing now is I'm gonna put this into my pot of boiling water. If you're afraid of the boiling water being too hot, you can even turn it off. As long as it was boiling just like a second ago, you can even turn it off if you're afraid of kind of dealing with too hot. So I'm gonna take the lid off of my pot of water and I'm gonna put my bean sprouts in. Okay. And I'm gonna just pour be very careful. Don't let the hot water splash you. I've turned off my heat and you can do the same. I'm just putting in my bean sprouts. Okay, we're just gonna let it hang out in here. I'm using a spider to, or you can use tongs too, but I'm gonna use the spider here to kind of push the bean sprouts in to the hot water.
Does the rice need
And then once you have your bean sprouts in, put your colander into the sink, because we're going to be using this colander in the sink to drain the bean sprouts in a little bit. So we're just putting it in there for a little bit just to get it soft and to soften it up.
Or you had it on already.
Okay. And does everyone have their bean sprouts in?
No, Mom, I don't want the oven on.
I'm leaving. I'm not gonna go to church.
Okay, mute, Mimi. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start moving the bean sprouts around in the water, and then we're going to move the whole pot over to the sink. I know it sounds scary. If you're by yourself, be very careful with this stuff. You might, Shayna, do you have a parent nearby? Shayna? Yeah? Can you ask someone to help you move the pot of boiling water to the colander in the sink? Okay, I'm going to take my towel here and I'm going to use it to grip both sides of my pot. And I'm not dumping out the water because we're going to use the same water to blanch our spinach. I'm just using my spider, which is this handy tool here. I'm using my spider, or you can use tongs too. And I'm just putting this into my colander in the sink and letting it drain. And it's just going to cool there for a little bit. Okay, so let's see, I'm putting it into my colander, letting it drain in the sink. Okay, so let's see, where am I? Mimi, can you put it onto the, put it onto the cutting board. Sorry, this is the one part of my kitchen I don't have a camera on. But this is my spider. I'm just very carefully, thanks, Mimi. I'm draining my my bean sprouts. I'm scooping them out of the water and putting it back in the colander. Okay, so try to get as much of the bean sprouts off if you can. If you have a few bean sprouts left behind, it's fine. Okay, so here's my pot of boiling water. No longer boiling, but very hot. I'm going to put this back on the stove. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our spinach. So I'm going to get my spinach and bring it to the stove. And with this bean sprouts, if you'd like, you can also kind of run some cold water over it just to cool it a little bit. Doesn't have to be ice cold, but just to cool it. It'll cool off on its own. Okay, so my bean sprouts are just sitting in the sink, draining in the colander. We're just gonna forget about it and let it sit there for a little bit. All right, and then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do our spinach. So let's grab our spinach. And
should we put the fire back on the stove?
You can if you want. It's up to you. This water's pretty hot still, so I think for the purposes of safety, we should just, you don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So go ahead, if you have all your spinach ready, go ahead and just put it all into the stove. So maybe we're gonna move over to the stove. I'm putting in all my spinach. So it's gonna seem like a lot, but it's all gonna start to quickly shrink as soon as you put it into the water. And be careful not to touch the edge of the pot. I'm putting it all in.
Can the roots be on?
The water does not need to be on.
No,
you can leave the water.
Of the spinach.
The what?
The roots of the spinach.
Oh, yeah. Did you wash it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you can leave the roots on if you'd like, as long as you feel like there's not a lot of grit left in the stem, left in the root. Huh?
Archuleta, how much?
Yes.
How much spinach should we put?
I'm putting in. I put in 3 whole bunches, but I told everyone to buy 2 bunches, so you can put in all the spinach that you bought. And then as soon as you put it in, wait like maybe 20 seconds, and we're gonna do the same thing. I'm lifting my colander with the bean sprouts out of the sink and replacing it with another colander. If you have another colander, this is, you can go ahead and use that. Or you can empty out the bean sprouts and put it into a bowl. And you want to just drain your spinach now. So I'm taking my spinach out of the water. I'm moving my pot again close to the sink. And I have my colander, my empty colander waiting in the sink. And I'm going to just put in all my spinach. You can't see me, huh? Let's see. Ah, there we go. There. Okay, so I have my spinach here. You can't really see me. Why don't you put it on, let's see. Well, I'm just gonna put it into the colander. Okay, so imagine you're watching me put my spinach into the colander. I'm using tongs. Just easier to scoop out. And then again, yeah.
It's Lisa. Do we need to save the water? Is that why we're not just
No,
pouring?
you can. Yes, you can do that too. You can also just pour the water out.
Okay.
And then I'm also now running cold water over my spinach. Yes, thank you. If you are, we're not using this water anymore, so you can also just dump it straight into your colander. And I'm letting the cold water run over the spinach because we want it to cool down and not get too hot. Your spinach should have been in the hot water for maybe like 20 seconds or so, 30 seconds max. I'm just letting it, I'm just rinsing some cold water over it to cool it down. And then we're just gonna also let this drain. So your colander of spinach is draining and your colander of bean sprouts is draining. Okay, got it? Nice. Okay, Tony, and those of you who are, Brenna, you want to check your rice? See if your water is boiling on your pot.
My stove is being weird right now, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not able to cook my rice just yet. So
Okay.
still.
It'll cook. The next thing we're gonna do, Brenna, do you have your oven on to 425?
My oven is also being sort of weird, so I'm gonna
Oh, poor Brenna.
do that.
Okay, don't worry. It'll cook. It'll all cook eventually. So the next thing we're gonna cook, everybody, after you get your vegetables cooling into your colander and running cold water over it, we're gonna place our chicken or your protein, your tofu, onto your sheet pan, and we're gonna get ready to bake it. All right. So the chicken's been marinating, hanging out for about 15 or so minutes, 20 minutes. I'm gonna take a pair of tongs. I know it's late, but we're gonna keep moving. I warned you, we might be together for a while today. Okay, so I'm gonna very carefully lift using my tongs or a big fork. I'm gonna lift the chicken out of the marinade and put it onto the pan. You don't have to like drip it too much, you know, just so that it can sit on the sheet tray. And then the onion goes on it too. So all the onion goes along with it, and your tofu.
Lynna. The oven be
425.
Okay.
Lynna,
Yeah?
can we use aluminum foil on the
You
tray?
can use aluminum foil or parchment paper.
Okay.
It's just easier to clean up.
Can we put the chicken and the tofu on the same?
If your family does not mind your chicken and your tofu intermingling, that's fine. If you don't mind if you're the vegetarian or the tofu lover in your family does not mind the chicken and the tofu touching, yes, you can put it on the same tray. So I'm just laying it together. It's okay if they're touching. All right. I used a lot of chicken because I like leftovers. Go ahead and stick those ginger pieces on too if you have ginger. Okay, so I'm gonna, you have these pieces of onion. I'm gonna scatter them throughout the chicken, kind of in between the gaps and on top. Oops. I had a little piece of onion go flying. And I touched that onion with my hand and it had touched chicken juice, so I have to rinse my fingers. Okay, so let's see. Oh, some chicken, some tofu. I'm gonna use some tofu too. How you doing, Talia and Michael? Do you have your tofu on your sheet tray? You're working. Okay, good. Cool. 425. Your rack can be in the middle of your oven, it's fine. Okay. There. Okay, so my sheet tray is pretty full. If you need to use 2, you can. Should I use 2 more? Should I just cook them all now? Okay. I use a lot of chicken and I use tofu. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab another sheet tray and put on the rest of my chicken. Okay. So everyone should be placing your protein onto your sheet pan along with the onions.
Lynna.
Yeah.
Do you put the juice in?
No, leave the juice behind. Thank you for asking. Yeah, leave the juice behind. Don't forget, but do not leave the onions behind. The onions are really good if you roast them all together.
Excuse me, Auntie Lena?
Uh-huh.
Oh, what should we do with the water for the boiling?
Oh, you can dump it out. You don't need it anymore. Did you already finish blanching your spinach and your bean sprouts?
For the rice, sorry.
Oh, for the rice. What about the rice?
The water's boiling.
Oh, okay. So turn it down and keep the lid on it and turn it down to like medium to medium low.
All right, thank you.
Huh? Okay, so go ahead, everybody. Once you have your chicken onto your sheet tray, let's put it in the oven. It's about 610, 611. They'll probably be in the oven for about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. So we'll keep track of the clock. Okay. All right, chicken is in the oven. You can put your protein bowl with all the leftover marinade into the sink. You don't need this anymore. I'll put in I'll add the rest of the tofu later. Thank you, Mimi. Thank you. My executive producer reminded me I have 2 more pieces of tofu here that I did not add. We'll do so now. Thank you. Let me add this now. My last 2 pieces of tofu. All right. Cool.
My chicken is in the oven.
Great. Great. I just used my foot to close my oven door. You did not see that.
And my rice is cooking, so my stove in my oven is working.
Yes. Awesome, Brenna. Okay, so go ahead. You don't need your marinade bowl anymore.
Excuse me, Auntie Lena.
Yes? Is that Clayton?
Yeah. How long should we cook the chicken?
It's gonna be in there. We'll take it out together. It'll be in there for about 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. So if your hands touched the chicken in any way, if your hands touched the tongs that touched the chicken, wash your hands. We just want to make sure you are not contaminating anything. So go ahead and wash your hands if you feel like your hands might have been contaminated by raw chicken. I'm going to wash my hands just in case. We're doing great, everybody. You guys have a lot of stamina. Just stick with me this long. Okay. So let's see. Now we're going to work on the rest of our vegetables. So while the chicken is cooking and the rice is cooking, I pulled my cutting board back that I had we cut our ginger and garlic on. We're going to get ready to process our vegetables. So let's chop up some green onions first. So go ahead and grab your green onions, and also do me a favor and grab a small bowl, because we're gonna use green onion for a variety of different ways, and we're gonna set some aside, but I want you to cut it all up together first.
And Lynna. Wait, we have the stovetop rice.
What?
The
what, Michael? Oh, Cameron, what was that?
We have the stovetop rice, so.
Okay, so is your rice boiling?
Well, it was.
It was.
Okay, turn it down to medium low and keep the lid on.
Okay, no, it's already low. It's already low.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, we're gonna cut up our green onions next. Hopefully your green onions are washed. Mine are washed, and take a few minutes to wash them if you haven't yet. I don't know if I've already talked to this group about my babies, my green onion babies. I've been growing little green onion babies. I did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, thanks, Mayada.
You showed us.
Okay, fine. I know, but Mayada wasn't in line. Okay, I did show you, huh? Okay, and I will spare you. But if you'd like, I will tell you about this. So what I do with my green onions ever since quarantine is I save the roots, and then I grow them in a little jar, a little cup of water.
Oh, that's what my parents do.
Who said that?
Brenna.
Oh, Brenna, yeah, cool. Yeah. So it's another way of regenerating your green onions. And it's like getting another batch of green onions for free. So what I'm doing is if you want to do this, you don't have to. And I know I'm wasting time showing you this.
I'm gonna cut off the bottom white parts so my parents can grow them.
Perfect. Yeah, so leave like a centimeter of the white part. So it's not all cut. You don't want to cut it right to the edge of the roots. I'm just cutting off, I'm leaving like a centimeter, see? And then as long as the roots are nice and healthy looking, this is a good candidate for growing more green onion. Good candidate, that's right. So go ahead and save it in a little bowl or in a little ramekin. I'm going to do the same with a couple other ones that look like good candidates for regenerating. Mayadi, do you have roots at the end of yours? Mayadi?
We already cut them off.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Next time. You can do it next time.
What my parents do is they get a clear cup, they put the green onion roots in, and they put it on a little shelf right by the window.
Exactly. That's exactly what I do. We are of the same
I have
mind.
a black shelf by my window, and that's where they put it.
Ah, nice. And if your roots don't look that healthy, you can just, compost them. I'm wasting time here, but okay, I'll keep moving. Okay, so I'm just going to cut off some of my roots of my green onion so I can maybe regenerate some later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mince your green onion as finely as possible. These are going to be like a garnish for you to sprinkle over your finished dishes, and they'll be mixed into your spinach and your green onion or your bean sprout mixture. Okay, so I'm going to set aside my roots. I see a little bit of grit on my green onion here. I'm going to rinse it really quick.
I want to show you. I'm just trying to show you a technique.
All right. So what I'm going to do for my green onion is I want to cut it super fine. And these are some of these are kind of thick looking, right? This is a lot of green onion to get through. I'm recommending maybe that you cut like 8, because it'll be enough for you to add to your salad or your banchan, and enough to garnish at the end. So I'm going to cut each green onion lengthwise and vertically, just like this, through the roots, just like 1 or 2 cuts vertically, just to make sure it's not too thick. Okay, just cutting it lengthwise, just like this. So go ahead and do that to all your green onions. Again, this is why it's really handy to have a sharp knife. Having a sharp knife not only makes it easier to cut things, it also makes you less likely to cut yourselves, believe it or not. So I'm just cutting my green onions down into vertical strips.
Lynna?
Yeah?
Is it going to be an issue if my overzealous daughter just diced the onions?
Is she diced them?
Yep.
She can just kind of run her knife through and mince them a little bit more. It's not an issue.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, just run your knife through it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fine. If you don't mind, I mean, that's fine with me. I don't mind having big chunks of green onion.
Oh, look, she's doing it like this.
So I'm cutting them vertically down just to make it a little bit skinnier, so that'll make it easier to mince later.
That's smart.
This is make it easier to cut. How many did I? 1, 2, 3. This is probably more than 8, but that's okay. We never waste anything around here. If we have extra, we just put it in a bowl and put it in the fridge and just save it for tomorrow. Okay. I'm gonna leave this one. Okay, so I have my green onion. Before I mince this, I'm gonna cut it in half to make it a little bit easier to chop.
I have a feeling this is gonna be delicious.
I hope so. I hope so. Can't go wrong. If you cooked it, it's gonna be delicious. So I'm piling up my green onions in a stack. And then I'm just going to put I'm right-handed, so I'm putting my left hand on my green onions. If you're left-handed, you can put your right hand on your green onions. I'm just gonna very finely chop them, as finely as possible. And again, same technique as when you minced your garlic. We're not forcing, we're not gripping the knife too tightly. You know, just relax your hand, but have a good grip on your knife blade, on your knife handle, and just run your blade down the green onion. You're not doing like an up and down chop. You're kind of gliding, you're rolling the knife blade over your green onion, keeping the tip of your blade on the cutting board.
Yeah, I learned that technique from my dad, but he learned it from my uncle.
Oh, cool. Who said that? Is that Brenna too?
Yeah.
Yeah. You learned it from which uncle?
He's not my biological uncle, but he's my mom's best friend, and he's like an uncle. He's Nathan.
Yeah. Yeah, I've met him before.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Nathan Downs, right?
He's a chef. He's a really good chef.
Oh, cool. He's barbecued at your house before, right, Brenna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dee, what are you doing? Okay. All right. So I'm just mincing my green onion. This is a pretty big pile.
What?
Okay. So I'm going to clean my blade off. You see, I'm wiping my blade so that some of the green onion comes off. And if you see some big chunks, just run your knife through it. Okay. And I'm going to set aside this green onion and put it into this bowl here. And I'm going to cut the second half of my green onion.
This is a lot of green onion.
It's a lot. And is it making you cry?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Not as bad as regular onion though, right?
It makes me cry.
Okay. So
My eyes.
So I'm adding this to the bowl, and then I'm going to cut my second half of my green onion. I use both the whites and the greens.
Me too.
Cool.
I mean, the whites aren't very different.
Yeah.
You do not want to waste any food.
Exactly. We do not waste anything. Okay, so go ahead and cut your green onions. It's important to have the right knife to cut each of your ingredients. I mean, we've been mostly using this chef's knife, and I noticed that most of you have a similar size knife. If you use a knife that's too small for cutting certain things or not the right shape, it can make the job seem a lot harder. Let's see, where's Brenna? Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's like a santuko knife. Okay, so I'm done cutting up my green onions, and I'm gonna add this to my bowl of green onions here. All right.
Rice is done.
Cool. So anyone else want to check your rice? If you cooked your rice on the stove, go ahead and give it a check. And you can turn the heat off, but leave the lid on. If it needs a little bit more time, you can do that. As I'm putting my green onion into the bowl, I'm just checking to make sure there's not huge chunks of green onion. Okay.
My computer's about to die, so I just brought a charger.
Okay, cool. Check my chicken. No, I'm not checking the chicken yet. I'm just gonna leave it in there. We don't need to do anything with it quite yet. I'm also gonna go rinse my hands because they're kind of oniony right now. So I'm gonna rinse my hands. And we're gonna go ahead and process our bean sprouts next.
Dinner at the dining table tonight? Or do you want to eat in the living room with all of us together? Or what do you want?
Living room, I am so tired.
Okay, so let's set aside the green onion. I'm gonna set aside this cutting board for now. I don't think we need it. Oh, we will need it at the very end to cut up some chicken. But so let's just set it aside. We're not gonna wash it yet. We're still gonna use it. So save that cutting board. We wanna minimize washing as much as unnecessary washing. Okay, so let's take our bean sprouts first. So make sure you have a bowl to contain your bean sprouts. Because what we're gonna do next is we're going to go to the sink and you're gonna you're gonna drain out this, the bean sprouts, like squeeze out the water, basically what I'm trying to say. Squeeze out as much water as you can out of the bean sprouts. Just use your hands and just squeeze out as much water as you can. You can use your hand to kind of, make sure that some of the water, just hold the bean sprouts in and let the water drain out, and squeeze as you do it. And then you can just place your bean sprouts into a clean bowl, a bowl that's big enough for you to be able to mix some other things into it. Okay, so I'm just taking my bean sprouts out of my colander, draining them, and then putting them into a bowl. Okay, and then I'm just going to put away this colander that I don't need anymore. All right, and we're going to season our bean sprouts now. We're going to use our different sauces that we used before, some of those ingredients. We're going to use some of the same ones to season the bean sprouts. So the first thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of salt. I used a pound of bean sprouts. My package came in a pound. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of salt and pour it over the bean sprouts. This is going to be pretty salty. If you want to use a little less, you can use like a teaspoon and a half. But it's meant to be salty. It's a banchan. It's supposed to be a little salty. It's supposed to be pretty flavorful.
Wait, so 2 teaspoons?
2 teaspoons, yes.
Oh,
2 teaspoons of salt. Did I say tablespoons? I'm so sorry. Yikes.
I was like, that's a lot of salt.
Did you already put in 2 tablespoons, Brenna?
No.
Oh, good. Okay, 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of salt. I tend to use kosher salt because it's a little less salty than iodized salt.
I like kosher salt too.
Yeah. So go ahead and use 2 tablespoons, or 2 teaspoons, oh my gosh, 2 teaspoons of salt. Clara is mortified. Okay, and the next thing you're gonna add is half of the garlic that you set aside. Remember earlier how we set aside garlic? Go ahead and use half of it for your, add it to your bean sprouts. I'm gonna grab a spoon.
Wait, so half of the amount that we have in the bowl?
Yeah, half of what you have left over. Half of the garlic that you have left over gets added to your bean sprouts.
The garlic was in a tiny little bowl right next to me the whole time, and I still forgot about it.
Yes, that can happen. So go ahead and add in your garlic, and then we're going to add in our sesame oil next.
How much?
So we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. I'm just going to eyeball. Do you remember how we've talked about how I'm lazy about washing things? So rather than pouring out another teaspoon, I'm just going to kind of look and see like 1 revolution, 2 revolutions of sesame oil. And you can always add more later if you don't add enough.
2 teaspoons?
2 teaspoons.
Thank you.
2 teaspoons of sesame oil. And the next thing we're going to add is sesame seeds. So 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds. Again, I'm going to eyeball. You don't have to measure if you don't want to. I'm just going to look and see about how much sesame seeds would look good with, looks like it'd be the right amount for this amount of bean sprouts. Mix it in.
How much sesame seeds?
About 1 teaspoon. About 1 teaspoon. Yeah, you can just pour it into your hand. And then the other thing I'm going to add is our green onions. So I'm going to put in, again, it's up to you. I'm going to put in the equivalent of about 2 teaspoons, two green onions worth. So I'm just going to scoop in maybe like 2 big spoonfuls of green onion. And then mix it in. That salt is going to also help wilt the bean sprouts and the green onion. Okay. And if you like it a little spicy, if you have hot pepper flakes, you can add it here too. And it adds like some nice color. If you want some, a little bit of red, you can add like a half a teaspoon, like a sprinkle of hot pepper flake. Oh, here, yeah. Let's use this just a little. Okay, mix it up and then taste it. Taste it for salt. Taste it for there to see if there's enough sesame oil. Make sure it's garlicky enough. Just take a fork or take a finger and just taste the. Make sure it's salty. Not too salty, but salty enough. Remember, you're going to be eating this with rice, and it's okay if it's on the salty side. You kind of want it to be. Chicken, we're going to check on the chicken right after we're done mixing this.
There's a lot of salt, but I think I'll be fine since the rice.
Good. Yeah, because the rice is plain. Okay. So go ahead. Once you've tasted your bean sprouts for salt, for garlic, for sesame oil, go ahead and set it aside. Does anyone need me to repeat what goes into the bean sprouts? You guys got it good? Okay. Sonia, you have a question? No? Okay. Okay, everybody. We're going to check our chicken or your tofu. Let's check it. So I'm going to come to my oven next, and we're just going to look at our chicken. Okay. Oh, yeah. Looking good. Some of my onion is starting to look a little charred on the outside. That's fine. Looks nice. Checking my second pan. That's good. No, not yet. I think I'm going to leave. I see my chicken still looks like it's a little bit pink in some parts. It's mostly white, but I think I'm going to leave it in for another 5 minutes. All right? No need to flip it. No need to flip it. This is a super easy dish. We're just gonna leave it in there. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do, everybody, is we're gonna process our spinach. While the chicken finishes cooking or the tofu finishes cooking, we're gonna process our spinach. So, same thing, we're going to squeeze out your spinach in the sink. So the spinach is gonna release a lot more water than the bean sprouts did. So it's important to do it over the sink. So just use your hands and squeeze out the spinach. Squeeze it out. You can even take, what might be handy actually is if you take a handful at a time and squeeze out your spinach, squeeze out a handful at a time. And then once you've squeezed out a clump of spinach, go ahead and just put it onto your cutting board because we're gonna chop it. Okay, so just use all your might and pick up a ball of spinach just like this. Like I have a handful of spinach and just squeeze it out into the sink and just let the water drain.
That was a lot of water.
Yeah, right? Spinach has a lot of water in it. But you can see how much all that spinach you had shrunk. Okay. Squeeze out as much water as you can.
I did.
And then just put the ball of dried out spinach onto your cutting board and move on to the next ball of spinach. See, mine looks like that. It's just kind of a ball of spinach. I'm gonna move on to my next handful. Squeeze out that spinach, get as much water out as you can. Because we're gonna be adding flavor back into this spinach. If your rice is on the stove, you can probably go ahead and turn it off if you haven't already. Because your rice is probably done. Give it a test, check it, see that it's cooked all the way. If you need me to help you troubleshoot, if you're not sure, just holler. That's what I'm gonna do is I'm here to help you fix it if you feel like it's not quite right. Okay, squeeze out as much water as you can and put your finished spinach onto the cutting board. And then grab another bowl too, if you don't have one yet, but grab a mixing bowl for your spinach mixture. Are you all done, Shmoo? Ooh, I see your spinach. Nice. Good. Okay. So, I have my last, that's hard work. Last ball of spinach. We're squeezing out the water, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add flavor back into it. So it'll pick up on some of those other flavors. Okay, good. My hands are last rinse. I'm gonna grab a bowl. Let's see. There's a metal bowl. Okay. All right. Everyone ready to do spinach? That's an awesome knife, Miley. Okay. So about the chicken and the tofu, if let's do one final check. It's been about 5 minutes. If you want to go, I'm going to check my tofu and chicken. So what I'm looking for, again, is for the chicken to be slightly browned. I'm gonna take a fork. I'm assuming our ovens are about the same-ish. It's been in there for about 25 minutes. I think my chicken is pretty much there. The thing that's great about chicken thigh, it's why I cook it a lot, is really forgiving because it's hard to overcook. So what I think I'm gonna do with my chicken, everybody, is I'm gonna turn the heat off of my chicken, but I'm gonna leave it in there. So go ahead and turn your heat off of your chicken. If your chicken looked like it was pretty much done, go ahead and turn the heat off. If we put in the chicken at the same time as me, if you put in your chicken when I put in my chicken, it'll probably be pretty much done. So go ahead and turn the heat off, and we'll just let it cook in the residual heat.
My chicken's done.
Go ahead and take it out. And those of you who have tofu, Miley and Michael and Talia, your tofu I'm sure is done, so you can just take yours out. Okay? All right. If you think your chicken's done, you can take it out. I'm just gonna let it sit in there just to maybe get a little bit browner, but chances are all our chicken is done because it only needed about 25 minutes or so. Okay, so let's deal with our spinach. So let's see here. So we have our little balls of spinach. I'm just gonna cut each one into thirds or half. So thirds or half, it's up to you. I'm gonna cut this, each ball into thirds or half and put it into your bowl, your mixing bowl. Maybe use your big, thick, heavy knife to cut through all those stems. Because what's gonna happen is as we mix it, it's gonna break apart. Okay, so we have our spinach and we're gonna add flavoring to it now. We're gonna add seasoning. So we have our spinach, add the rest of your garlic in. Remember that garlic we had earlier? Go ahead and add that in.
Lynna, how did we cut them?
Oh, I just took a ball of spinach and cut it. I just ran my knife through it 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
So go ahead and add the rest of your garlic. If it's too much garlic for your family, you don't have to use all of it, but I'm using pretty much all of it because I want this to be pretty garlicky. And the next thing I'm going to add is about 3 teaspoons. I'm very careful now. I've learned my lesson. 3 teaspoons of soy sauce or tamari. 3 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3 teaspoons. Okay. And then I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of sesame oil. I think sesame oil is like a magic ingredient. It makes all Asian food taste yummy. 3 teaspoons. And just go ahead and mix it with a spoon or a fork or a chopstick.
Do we put sesame seeds in it?
Yes, we're gonna put sesame seeds in next. Yes, I'm gonna put in like maybe 4 teaspoons, like quite a bit. I really want the sesame seeds to really stand out because they add crunch. They add like crunchiness. I'm adding in, you can add like 2 or 4 teaspoons, however you like. I think this could even use more. So once you mix it in, you can always add more. And then, so your 3 to 4 teaspoons. Oh, the first thing I added, McKenna, was soy sauce, 3 teaspoons of soy sauce or tamari. And the next ingredient I added was sesame oil, 3 teaspoons each. And then the sesame seeds. And then, oh, garlic, sorry. Also, that was the other ingredient I added, the garlic. And green onion. All that green onion. You can add in like another, equivalent of like 2 green onions in there. Okay, and just mix it all in and taste it for flavoring once it's mixed. Okay, everybody. I know you're probably wondering when this is going to end. We're almost there. Okay, we're going to get ready to plate soon. Taste your spinach. Taste it for saltiness. Taste it for nuttiness. Taste it for garlickiness. Mine could use more salt. So you can add either more salt, you can add a little salt, or you can add some more soy sauce. I'm gonna use a little bit of salt, but always taste along the way. Okay?
My spinach tastes good.
Good. All right. I'm gonna take out my chicken now. So if you haven't taken out your chicken yet, let's do it. Let's take out your chicken because we're gonna get ready to plate soon. We're gonna do the egg next. Okay? Take out your chicken. Oh yeah. Nice. And your tofu. Okay? Okay, everybody. Now, we have 90% of our dinner ready. Go ahead and grab bowls, serving bowls, big hearty bowls, big enough to be able to put chicken in and your rice and your vegetable and an egg on top.
It's
What
like
was the question?
Is this good?
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could totally work, Brenna. Okay? You want it to be big enough or deep enough? Yeah, that's good, David. Yeah, that works. Yeah, so we're going to start plating soon. So let's see, what order should we do it in? Let's get some rice in your bowls. Actually, sorry, let's do your chicken. Let's cut up the chicken first. Clara's like, Mom, stop changing your mind. Okay, so let's get our chicken onto your cutting board. We're gonna cut up our chicken. I know it's pretty hot, but be very careful. Take a clean set of tongs or a fork and place some of your chicken onto your cutting board or your tofu. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my chicken and place it next to my cutting board. And we're gonna cut the chicken into chunks. So I'm just going to place chicken or the tofu onto the cutting board and cut it into bite-sized chunks. So I have a thigh here and a chicken breast and a piece of tofu. And what you want to do is you want to cut enough for your family. So if you have, let's say 4 people in your family, you can go ahead and put like 6 pieces of protein, like either the chicken or the thigh, the thigh or the breast onto the cutting board. And just cut it, you don't have to cut it too small, but just cut it into bite-sized pieces. I'll show you how I'm cutting I'll cut my tofu first. I have a piece of spinach. I'm just gonna cut the tofu into cubes. I cut it in half, just however you want to cut it. There's no right or wrong way. I'm just gonna cut it like that. I have my little cubes of tofu here. The chicken thigh, I'm gonna cut each one in half. And then I'm gonna cut it across ways again into cubes. So I have these kind of bite-sized cubes, not too small. And same with my chicken breast. Cut it in half, long ways, and then cut it down like this into cubes. Got it? So go ahead and start cutting up some of your chicken because we're gonna make stations here. You have your bowl of spinach and your bowl of bean sprouts and your rice. Ready? We're gonna put our rice into our bowls, and then we're just gonna be able to kind of assembly line style assemble your rice bowl. So I'll just do one with you together. Okay, so I have my chicken and my tofu on the cutting board, all cubed up. I'm gonna set this aside, and I'm gonna get ready to fry an egg with you guys. We're gonna fry an egg. Everything with an egg on top tastes better. I'm gonna sample a piece of chicken too. Anyone else wanna do that with me? Sample a piece of tofu or chicken? Claire wants to
I
try.
want to sample one. I want to know how my chicken tastes.
It's hot. It's hot. It's hot.
Oh, it's so good.
Super hot. Be careful.
Mine isn't that hot. It's been like cooling down.
Okay.
It's so good.
Good. Yeah. If it needs salt, you can sprinkle a little bit of salt over it, but keep in mind your vegetables are going to be salty. And if you're using kimchi, kimchi will be salty too. My kimchi is leaking. I'll try the tofu. Okay, so if yours needs salt, you can sprinkle a little bit of kosher salt over it, or you can just keep in mind that your other vegetables will be salty too. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get our heat on for our fried egg. So I'm using a non-stick pan. A non-stick pan is ideal for frying an egg, or a well-seasoned cast iron pan. But if you have non-stick, pull out your non-stick pan and turn your heat up to medium on your stove.
Excuse me.
And when you, yeah?
Sorry. Thank you. We're really excited to eat it, but we're not gonna have any fried eggs, so I think we're done.
Okay, you're gonna go. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining me, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget your condiments. You can put some gochujang on the side and your kimchi, and yeah. Hey, Bernadette.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Enjoy. All right. So those of you who are not gonna fry an egg, you are excused. You can go. You can plate with you can use a bowl and plate, put a scoop of rice down and then add your vegetables and your protein around it. But I'm gonna go ahead and fry an egg. I'll show you how I do it. Olivia, are you leaving? Is that you waving? Are you leaving? Okay, bye Olivia. Thanks for joining.
Lena, I'm leaving.
Bye Melissa. Bye, bye Amy.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us. 再见。谢谢你来，谢谢你。Rosa, Sonia, you leaving too? Okay, go ahead and plate if you're leaving. Okay, but some of us are gonna fry an egg. So if you're frying an egg with a non-stick pan, make sure you always use a non-stick or a soft, like a wooden spoon or a spatula. You don't want to scrape the surface of the non-stick pan because it can damage it and it can release. Yeah, that's perfect, Clayton. That's a perfect one to use. Yeah. All right.
Wait, so a wooden one?
A wooden one's fine too. Yeah. Okay. I have to fix the camera. What? Oh. Like that. Can you test it? Can you?
Are we gonna fry one egg?
I'm gonna fry 4 eggs. So fry as many eggs as you feel like your family can eat, and as many will fit into your pot.
I have 4 people in my family, so how many do you recommend?
If everyone will want a fried egg, then I would do 4.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use, the kind of oil I'm gonna use is, you can use either olive oil or a neutral oil. You can use butter if you want, but I'm just gonna use this grapeseed oil here. I'm gonna put down enough just to cover the pan a little bit, not too much. So maybe like a tablespoon and a half. I don't want too much oil because the nonstick pan is already going to prevent the eggs from sticking. But I just want there to be enough oil for the eggs to fry. So I'm gonna swirl the oil around in the pan, just like that. And I have enough oil down to cover the bottom of my pan on a very thin layer. And then very carefully, you can crack your egg into your pan. So I'm gonna do it on a hard surface. Be careful of shell. If you don't get a shell inside. If you do, it's not the end of the world. You can still pick it out. But I'm just gonna put in, Mimi, do you want an egg? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna put in 4 eggs.
I don't know if 4 can fit.
Yeah, it's okay. They can overlap a little bit. It's fine. And I got a little bit of shell in mine, and I'm just gonna very carefully scoop it out. There we go. Rinse my hand. Okay. I think I'll just do 3 for now. No, I'll do 4. Do 4. Let's see. I'll show you because mine's all overlapping too, and it's totally fine. I'm rinsing my hands because eggs can have bacteria too, and I'm also looking for any bits of shell that might be in there. And I have my pan on medium right now, or medium low. I'm gonna turn it up to maybe medium. And I'm gonna take a little bit of salt. So I'm just taking a pinch of salt, or a couple pinches of salt, and just sprinkling it over my eggs. Just a little bit.
I like to sprinkle salt and pepper.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on pepper too. I'll put on pepper with you. I'm gonna do mine sunny side up. I just think I'm not very good at making over easy eggs, so I'm gonna make mine sunny side up. I'm gonna put some pepper over mine, just to make it look pretty too. Looks nice. And then we're just gonna let it, while it sits here and fries, let's scoop our rice. So grab your rice, grab some bowls and place it next to your rice, your pot or your rice cooker. And go ahead and start scooping rice into your bowls. So I'm just gonna do 2 right now. Not too much rice because not everybody can eat all that rice, but maybe just put in some and then people can help themselves to more later. So I put in about this much. I'm gonna smash it down a little bit, and it's up to you how you wanna plate it. You can push your rice to one side of the bowl and put your other ingredients around it, or you can put it in the middle, in like a little mound in the middle, and put everything around it. That's up to you. That is your call, how you wanna plate your rice. So I'm gonna put my rice into my bowl while the eggs are frying. I can hear the eggs starting to crackle and sputter. That's good. And I'm gonna get my chicken onto my rice bowl here. I'll show you.
Hey,
We're
Lynna,
almost there, everybody. Yeah.
What do you do with the
What?
dripping from the chicken?
Oh, it's up to you. You can spoon it over the rice if you want. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, if you have some rice drippings on your sheet tray, you can spoon it over your rice because that's all cooked. And I'm taking my tongs and I'm going to just place some chicken, maybe like, I don't know, however much chicken you think everybody in your family might like. I'll make this one for Emmett. I'll make this one for Clara. Oh, you want tofu? Oh, Clara's eating tofu. Oh, you want tofu and chicken? Okay. Tofu and chicken. And Emmett, do you want tofu? Okay. So putting on some chicken and tofu, and I'm gonna add some spinach. And add some bean sprouts.
Angelina, what do you do in the egg sizzle?
So just let it sit there for a little bit. I'm gonna check mine in about 15 seconds. once I finish plating my bean sprouts. Okay, so let's bring our bowls over to your eggs because your eggs might be almost ready. Yep, my eggs are ready. I'm turning off the heat. Turning off the heat. And I'm just gonna carefully break off an egg with my rubber spatula.
Thank you, Lena.
You're welcome, Mayati.
Bye.
And then putting my egg on top. Bye, everybody. Here we go. Here's one.
Thank you, Auntie Lena.
You're welcome. Thanks for bearing with me for so long.
This is great.
Right now.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for joining. Bye, Bernadette.
Bye.
Hi.
Thank you, Lena.
Can you put it on me?
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Keep plating.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Thank you for sticking around.
All right.
And also, don't forget the kimchi.
Oh,
And
yeah.
don't forget the green onion. Remember your green onion. You can use it to sprinkle over everything. Hey,
Thank
Courtney.
you.
Hey, Courtney.
Thank you, Lena.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Don't forget to garnish with green onion.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Bye, Lydia.
Thank you.
Bye, David.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. This is our longest one yet. Bye, Emily. Bye, Talia.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.